to this week's episode of Let's Talk About It with Keola. And you know, we all have situations where we have red flags and we just kind of ignore them. Well, this week I have a special guest with me. His name is Mr. Grant, and we are going to talk about red flags never turning green and why do people ignore the red flags. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Loving it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, so they don't know me sometimes.
So tell people about you.
I am her first cousin. I'm her baby. I'm her first child. I'm her first everything.
Yes,
she had me rocking.
Yes,
but
yes.
I love you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. This is amazing. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you. Go support her. Follow, like, subscribe, and share.
Get them together.
Please, because if your friend is not successful, it's because you didn't share my shit.
Oh. And this is Wyla. Are y'all understand? Are y'all with me?
You didn't share it. So, but I'm ready for this topic, though. This is hot.
So we're going to talk about, red flags is what I always tell people never turn green, right? Never, ever, ever. However, for some reason, people like to ignore them. And I found in my life that every time I ignored them, somehow it kind of bit me.
Yes.
So I had to learn. So kind of tell me about, what do you think about that? What's your perception of
Okay, so it depends on what situation. Are we talking about in relationships, or are we talking about in your everyday work life?
So let's talk about in relationships first.
Child. If you'll build a bell, you ignore a lot of red flags. You be like, oh, okay, I can look past that.
Yes.
I can help fix that. And it's really burning you up on the inside. It really is.
Yes.
But you're like, okay, is this compromise? I think some people mistake red flags as a compromise.
Okay.
So
compromise.
Yeah, they're asking. They don't know if it's compromising or not. It could be foul for you.
Right.
But if you're compromising, that should be compromising for what's for the betterment of both of you, not just one-sided.
Right.
Because them red flags is definitely one-sided.
And I think, when I think about it from a relationship standpoint, when I step back and look at it from the outside, now every time, had I paid attention, I would have saved myself the heartbreak.
Yes, Lord.
I would have saved myself all the headaches that came with it. And I really would have saved myself a whole lot of rebuilding. However, I think the upside to it is, had I not had those bad experiences, I probably would not be who I am today. So I think people ignore the red flags sometimes out of fear.
Yeah.
Especially in relationships, because you're thinking, well, if I say something, the relationship is going to end, it's going to dissolve, the person's not going to want me anymore. Because I notice, this is just me. Now, don't y'all come after me, because y'all know how I feel about blocking people. But I feel like there's certain things. So if I meet someone and for me now, this is not for everybody.
Yes.
You don't have
for me. It's me.
You don't have a car. You don't have any aspirations. You are probably someone who's been in and out of a lot of relationships. That's kind of a red flag for me. Okay, now that I know better, in the beginning, you meet somebody and you're like, oh, he's got this, he's got that. I didn't pay any attention to his character.
Yes.
I didn't even care about his character. He just fit the physical. And so in my 20s, the other thing that I think I really thought was I was more materialistic. So he drove the nice car. He lived in a nice apartment, or he owned his own home, or had his own business. But he was a bag of sawdust.
Baby, when that Pandora box come out, it's awful. Ooh, you thought you got you a prize, and then when you got home and that thing popped open,
you like, what?
What the hell did I bring up in here? Okay, then you got to make the decision. Okay, am I gonna deal with this?
Yes.
you know, and then if you can deal with it, you got to be matured enough to know that you dealing with something, everybody else got to deal with it around you.
Yes, that's the other part of the package. So, which is kind of like when you have a family member who's married to someone who you may say, this person is a bag of sawdust.
Right.
But you're not, for whatever reason, tuning in to that. And now everybody in your circle is affected by this sawdust that you're carrying around. And it's like, okay, if you would have just noticed the red flags in the beginning, like all of that could have been avoided. So I think in the relationship era, it's also got a lot to do with, which I talked about it on a previous episode, is your self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people ignore the red flags because they don't feel like they deserve any better. Or that they can get any better. And so I'm a person who believes in feeding from the top, not the bottom. So I don't do crumbs, I don't do scraps. So if you think you're gonna bring me some, I'm gonna need you to go over there with that. But if you're
I don't even live in crumbs and scraps.
Yeah, but it's some people that do, and some of y'all do. And it's okay, no judgment.
You know, your ambition should always be good, but know your lane.
Yeah.
You know, if you ain't got nothing and you sitting there trying to get somebody with everything and then they turn you down, you mad. Why? Right. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing to pull this person in. They fishing line is totally different.
Correct.
Either your fishing, you the big fish that the fish line is too big or the big line is too small.
Either way.
You're in trouble.
Right. I agree. And so that's kind of been my experience with the relationship. Now, I haven't been in corporate America, for 22 years. So for me in the corporate America side, I feel bad for people when they're working somewhere and you can tell from the beginning it's about to be a toxic work environment. Okay, so if you see that in the interview, if you hear that in the interview, if you talk to the HR person, if you talk to the manager and they're switching people every 30 days or every 2 weeks or they can't, that's probably a red flag.
If you walk in, there have been several, when I was younger, there were several times I walked in an interview and the interviewing manager is pretty much, saying, now I'm letting you know this is what's going on. This is, we're doing this. This is not, up to where I wanted to be, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Those are red flags. If they are downing their own work dynamic, you're supposed to come in there and be a help, not a fixer, right. Unless that's your job.
Correct. I agree.
You're supposed to come in and help. If I'm coming in and fixing, they ain't gonna pay you to fix a price. Because the fixer price is a totally different price.
Right. That if I came and that's why you hired me.
That's why you hired me.
Yes.
That fixer is a no joke.
Yes.
But they don't want to pay you on the fixer.
Right.
You make them pay you for the fixer. If you're a fixer, you better make them pay you.
As soon as you recognize the red flag,
move.
Make a decision. And I think one of the things that most people don't know is when you're interviewing, the same way they're interviewing you,
you better interview them too. The same way. Because
y'all excuse, on the previous episodes we told you we had a beagle. Okay, we have a beagle. And so this beagle is whining and I think he's here to disrupt my recording. So I tried to tell her to take him out and she didn't. So please forgive the whining that you hear in the background. So, but in the workforce, I think people are afraid to say, well, I need to not take maybe you're in a situation where you really got to
take the job, but go ahead and take it, but be looking as you take it.
Right. And be mindful that you walked into a situation.
Mess.
Yes, before you got there, because the flags were, all over the place. And that kind of, for me, goes across the board, because if you know red flags are there, like I've learned to just pay attention. I'm more intuitive about, okay, that just doesn't, like, even with friendships. Okay, so you got a friend who never claps for you, who's never happy for you, who's never supportive of you, but you still try to like overlook it and still kind of maintain a friendship, that's a red flag.
That's a red flag for you, because why are you continuously reaching out to this friend? What are you not able to make other friends on your own?
Right.
You know, if this friend does not want to be a friend, then we need to downgrade you to an associate.
Correct. What's an associate? Mr. Craig, tell us what the associate is.
I ain't studying you, you ain't studying me. We just keep living life. If you do call, then hey, we can hook up and, you know, do what we want to do. But other than that, I'm not checking for you, you're not checking for me.
Correct. I agree. Y'all heard that right. Y'all heard it. It's no checking.
No checking.
So when the red flag is one-sided and you see the friendship that says, okay, so I'm the only one really pursuing you. You're not pursuing me. You're not clapping for me. You're not happy for me. That's your indicator.
Yeah.
But
cut them off.
Yes.
Or if you get into an argument and they decide they want to say something off that's a little, you know, real toxic. Oh, so you're not a friend for real.
Right.
You know, let me go ahead and chop your neck. Chop you right on off.
Yes.
You done.
Yes.
And, you know, if we have history, you know, maybe in a few years.
Yes.
You know, you know, if you've grown up, we'll reconsider.
And that's a part for me that I think my personality, I have challenges with that. So I'm the person that because I'm such a giving person, so if I have to cut you off, I really don't know how to circle back. So once I see the red flag and the horns are blowing and the flags are doing this, and then you say, okay, well, let's kind of go back and no.
Yeah. It depends. It really depends.
I don't know how to do it.
It depends on if we have and I say history, I mean history.
Like a long
time. But if I just met you maybe a year or two and you cut up,
you can circle. Yeah, you can.
I can't. I don't have to circle back.
You don't have to.
No.
Okay. And see, my thing, my challenge I struggle with is I don't care how long it's been.
But that's just your thing.
It could be like I actually could do it too.
She might look like a Power Ranger, but she old school. She will chop you off.
Like
cut up. She don't care.
It ain't nothing to cut it.
You know why? Because I do good by people.
Yeah.
You know, my heart is always to do good by people.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how I move in life. I'm always coming from a place of, how can I help you? What can I do to love you? Okay, so if you start showing me those flags that you're not reciprocating and I have to cut you off. Yeah. It's like a point of no return.
Yeah, I've definitely been in those situations where I've cut people off and I'm good. Now, I am like that when it comes to relationships.
Okay.
After it's broken,
it's broken.
It's done.
It's
done. Leave me alone. I don't know why y'all go playing with them exes. Why y'all like to play with them? Leave them alone.
Yes.
If you want to play with them, keep going to them.
Right.
Stay with them.
Right.
Why you keep fanning the flame?
Right.
Leave it alone. Once it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. And I think even if a person changes, for me now, I'm thinking, how do I know you changed?
Right. I need to see the work.
Yes.
If I don't see the work,
I can't do it. I can see the work and still I can't do it. The only exception I made is when I remarried my husband.
You married your husband. But that's different though. You know,
that was the
that
only
ain't
time.
No boyfriend. That's your children's father. That's not a fly by night seat of my pants, moment to moment.
Right.
No, that's different. You sometimes, like Nene said, you got to divorce your husband to get them together.
Right, exactly. That's the truth. That is the truth. And so I feel like other than that, I have really like, if I notice, and I'm trying to work on it, because when I notice red flags now, I will like pack my bags and be like, peace out.
Peace out. Yeah. I get the hell on when especially if you're like if you're like out and you start seeing scruffles.
I'm not peace out. Even in friendships, and so my circle of friends is so small because I'm not a catty woman. I really like to see my friends win. Whatever I can do to support them, I'm gonna. So if you start doing something that make me have to look at you like
sideways,
this, yeah, I'm probably gonna cut off. And then when I cut off, I just don't know how to return though.
Yeah.
And so I think people ignore the red flags because that means I got to do something. I now have to respond because now I've seen something. I've noticed, okay, and I don't know that I'm ready to deal with it. Especially, I have to go back to relationships, especially in relationships, because you're like, I saw this. Do
I want to deal with that? You know, it's like, and I think that's where it kind of makes it's kind of crazy because you got to figure out, okay, is it gonna be? It's dealing with you. Is it your thing?
Right.
Or is it an hour thing?
Right.
Will it affect me?
Right.
You know, because that's what really makes it all matter about a red flag. Right. Will it affect me? Is it your red flag?
Right.
Is it just one of my...
A one-off.
A one-off. Is it a no deal?
Correct.
Because some people red flags are no deal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what do you think of some no deals? Keep it clean and cute.
Broke, busted, disgusted. That's definitely a no deal. Even if I was broke, busted, and disgusted, I still wouldn't.
I want you broke. I don't want you broke.
Somebody gotta have some styles.
Somebody, please and thank you. Thank you.
You gonna have the shoes? I'm gonna have the shoes. Somebody got to have the shoes. No.
Yeah, so that's always that's
definitely
sure.
a no. For me,
that's why we related.
Yes. For me, because I've dealt with a ex-partner who had substance abuse, I don't want to deal with that one. That's a no-no for me.
That's a big one.
Huge.
That's life-altering.
Huge.
Yeah, that's life-altering. Yeah.
So...
Because that filters over into now I gotta watch you with my money.
With everything.
Yeah.
My money, my life, my feelings, my family, with everything. Because when you have a substance abuse, it's all about you. You don't care who you hurt in the process. So that's definitely a no for me.
Yeah, that one. Substance abuse, alcohol abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, no money, toxic, don't know who you are,
Oh, that's
still trying to figure out that, and you're like, huh? Okay, you don't know who you are? What's been holding you back from finding out? Okay, yeah, you're immature. Okay, so that's not, that's a no. Yeah, and you have to accept my children.
I mean, but how can you not accept what I had, what came out of me, what's me?
Right.
How can you not accept what's me?
But there are people who do.
They do. Bye.
Yeah, speaking of like when you have a step parent, and so you have step parents who say, well, I married this person. I believe, this is just my belief, this is Keola's belief, that if I marry someone or if I'm dating someone and they have children, I'm not trying to be their parent. I'm not trying to be their mother, but I have a responsibility to kind of mesh that relationship because they're a part of the person's life who I'm dealing with.
Absolutely, because they're going to be there as well.
Yes.
And so, yes, I don't have to raise your child because that's what you're doing. That's your job. But I will be there to support you.
Yes.
I will be there to support the child.
Right.
And the support system is it's more so on a mental level than a financial level.
Yeah.
We're there for, hey, if you're having a bad day at school, come on, talk to me, buddy.
Right.
But no, I'm not buying all your school clothes. No, I'm not getting your laptop this year unless I want to.
Correct.
If I want to, then I shouldn't have to feel obligated
to do it. I agree. I agree.
But children are harmless that's what number one thing. Children are always harmless.
That's true. Y'all
the children are always harmless. So you have to be mindful of their feelings because they automatically can feel and sense when a person is not good for their home. There was a situation when my mom had when we were babies, kids, but I couldn't stand the guy at all. Like, I couldn't stand him. He ended up being a crackhead.
What?
And my mom found out because he stole. Remember the instrument that passed down that.
Yes. What
that
happened?
was he stolen and plundered.
Get out of here. That's what happened to. I remember that it was an issue with what?
Put him out immediately. She put him out immediately. So, if you're in that situation, because somebody out there in that situation.
And there's a red flag showing you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
If your children are not comfortable with that situation, you need to take yourself out of that situation because
that's a red flag.
It is. Mentally, your children don't forget anything. Because when you grew up and you ain't forgot nothing.
That's true.
Your child ain't gonna forget nothing.
Right.
So you bet when your child now sometimes they little brats, but when your child is harping on something like that consistently, you need to your third eye should have been opened up.
Right. And said, hey, something. So that's back to when I initially said. So sometimes people don't want to deal with the red flag because it requires an action or a change, or I got to do something. Well, okay, this person may not be, maybe they're showing signs of drug addiction. Maybe my children are giving me all kind of horns, but I like them. They keep my bed warm at night. And so I don't want to make a decision because it's selfish. I don't want to make a decision, so I'm going to ignore the horn, the red flag, all the things that are saying. And so, in most cases when that happened, I read it was on TikTok about this girl that her baby was going to school with, abuse, marks on her and stuff like that. The neighbors would hear the baby crying at night. And long story short, the lady murdered the child, beat the child to death. Okay, after that, then all the neighbors said, well, we knew something was wrong.
But why y'all didn't call nobody?
We kept hearing the baby crying, and they showed I almost just teared up looking at it. But all the flags were there, and so as a person, why would y'all ignore it? I'd rather for the police to say, we found out nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
But you're not going to tell them?
Because people, I think people these nowadays are so checked out from society.
You think so? Yeah.
I think people have really checked out. I've gone through. Yeah, I've gone through that. I just kind of checked out from society for a minute. But people are living in that every single day.
But I don't think I think the responsibility part would have made me feel so bad. Once the child was unalive, that right there.
That's crazy because the thing is, I'm the type, if I hear me and
one wild episode.
Yeah, it is. This is Mr. Grant, and things happen on Mr. Grant night.
He is just barking, howling.
I came and crunk him up, y'all. It's my fault. I crunk him up.
Please, I apologize to all my viewers. Throw him outside, please. But people really. So now you got to live with the fact that you didn't do anything, and now this child is unalive.
This child is
and I think she was maybe 4.
Yeah,
she was really a baby.
But a child, you know.
Yeah. So the red flags were there. The neighbors saw the red flags. The school saw the red flags, but they ignored them. So that puts another.
But who's at fault at that point?
Right.
Who would be at fault? That it's kind of there was a TikTok where this man was beating this old lady with a cane at the subway station or something. What? He was just beating the hell out of her, and she was trying to fight the man, and he just beating her. They both was elderly, but still he knocking her with this cane.
Well, he had the upper hand.
Yes.
Nobody helped her?
That video came, didn't it? He didn't drop that video. He did not drop that video at all.
What?
Them people around there with their phones. If y'all see stuff, stop.
Why are you record? Like, what? I don't know. That's just weird to me. Like, that's weird.
It is.
And so you say, well, who would be at fault? Okay, well, who didn't? Nobody said anything. So I don't know. I just think you have to at some point say, okay, the accountability part of me is I saw the red flags. Now, what am I going to do about it?
What am I do about it? This is the thing. If the red flag directly affects you, then, do something. Mm-hmm. Change it. But if it indirectly affects you, still be vigilant, because you never know who life you can save just by looking at someone else's red flag.
Right.
And a lot of times we, as family, friends, and coworkers, we're stuck in situations where we see plenty of red flags throughout the day, and you like, dang, if I say something, then they ain't gonna like me, or they gonna think I'm hating on them, or they think I'm a crab in a bucket, or things like that. When really, I've been in situations where, in a work environment, I warned a coworker, like, don't be too buddy with this person, or don't be too, or don't be careful. Be careful. Just be mindful. Don't listen to me, but just be mindful, because you're falling into a trap. I can see it.
Right.
And this person went around and spread it that I gave them a little. I gave them a little pep talk.
What?
Yeah, nothing happened.
Next time, fall in the hole. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
And they did fall in the hole, because they came back and said, "You were right. I'm sorry." And at that point, I shot him a bird. I was like, "Thank you." I did. Because at that point, I done sit there and told you, now you done been malicious.
Right, to repeat it.
You did tell all the mess that you told everybody that I told you about. I said, oh, okay. Because I thought you was cool.
Right, so next time, next time you're on your own.
You are on your own. I'm gonna let that chandelier pop you in your head when it drop. No.
Which is another reason why sometimes people may not say anything. Because if you're not, it's different if somebody's giving you a heads up because they're trying to protect you. We're not talking about the nosy busybodies. We're not talking about the messy people. We're not even talking about the Karens or the Kens. We're talking about somebody who is solid. They're giving you solid advice. Maybe they noticed something that you didn't see because you're in the situation. And when you're outside looking in, you can see more objectively. And then you decide, well, I'm just not going to take the advice. Okay, cool, no problem. But you can't hold that against the person for coming at you in your best interest. And so at that point, you just have to fall in the hole.
And it just really just depends on the maturity of that person.
Yes,
that you're sending it to. They can be mature enough to, everybody, they gonna be mad. That's just a human reaction. You're gonna be mad.
Right.
But when you be like, dang, I respect you. I might not like you, but I respect you for giving me that, little caveat. Right. But bump you if you can't take a caveat and use it for your advantage. You are the idiot.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, there you have it. That is this week's episode. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I hope that you have some great nuggets to take away. I want to thank you for joining me today. This is my adult baby. Please, if you're seeing red flags, it doesn't matter what they are. If you can't be objective, go get somebody you trust to help you make an objective decision. If you're a believer, go pray and ask the Holy Spirit to help you to make sure you're seeing things clearly. But at the end of the day, don't ignore the red flags because they never turn green. They're always red, and that's on period. Please thank you again for joining me, Mr. Grant.
You can follow me on Mr. Grant ATL on all platforms, or ATL JRG on Snapchat. I will be bringing the Mr. Grant show back.
Okay, so we're looking forward to keep us updated on it. And the way that you can find me is to remember to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and stay connected with me on TikTok and Instagram. Love you without judgment, and see you next time.